Hey guys, welcome to Sixes Overdrive. Today we're at Edge Harley Davidson in Lloydminster, and as you can see in the background there, they've got the big Harley truck. They're unloading all the 2015 models. Now let's get one thing straight here, guys. You've seen me do reviews before. I'm not a cruiser guy. I don't ride cruisers. I used to, but it just, my style changed a little bit. So now I do dual sport, and sport bikes is mainly what I like. That's not to say I'm not going to review this bike fairly. I'm going to review this from the point of view that you're looking for a cruiser and that's your style, and by all means, whatever style you guys like, that's what I'm here to represent. So I'm not going to tell you how it brakes and how it handles and everything compared to a sport bike. You guys want a Harley Davidson or another cruiser that's similar to a Harley Davidson, and I'm going to break down some of the good and bad points about the bikes that we're taking out for a drive. So today, first bike we're going to be riding is the
Harley Davidson Street 750.
Here's a quick walk around of it. Roll the music. Okay guys, looks like we're on the XV750 today. She already gave me the rundown.
No, that's okay. I'm just going to let you know we're just going to work our way down as we pull out. So these guys down the end will pull out first, and we'll work our way down in a line. Alrighty?
Okay, thanks man. Okay guys, we're looking at an XV750. This is a different Harley. This isn't the Evolutions or the regular engine twins that they have. This one is kind of set up to be more beginner friendly. We've got a beginner's Harley bike. Now before that was a Sportster, which was a little bit harder on the tailbones and suspension, and supposedly they got a fairly good Harley Davidson feel on these. But right away you're going to notice it when it starts up, it seems a lot more like very much like a Honda Shadow kind of thing. It doesn't have that same rumble. And I'm going to be behind looking for my gloves here pretty quick. Yeah, so guys, this will be interesting. I was going to try out the Breakout, and I might do that next ride. But for now, we're just going to try this one because it's brand new. And a lot of you guys have beginner bikes and want to learn how to ride, and you want a Harley Davidson. Well, this is a good way to start out, I guess. Everything seems pretty normal. Oh, we got that came out too. Turn that way, yeah. I'll get him, guys. We're already starting off slow here, guys. Woo! That's more cramped up than even my sport bike. It keeps the legs up there quite a bit. Like, look at my legs. I'm a short little guy. So we got started out a little bit behind here, guys. So we're gonna be riding behind some orange. All right, man. This is pretty neutral. Like this is really easy to ride compared to a lot of other cruisers. This thing's a cinch. It seems to have plenty of power. There's nothing wrong with that. It's you can already see here, guys, that we have Not too many mufflers jamming up the pack, right? Actually, guys, this leans better than your typical Harley too. It corners pretty nice. I don't really have a mirror working for me. Oh, now we're back to the other these. There we go. One thing you'll always notice about Harley is that 6th gear is just for gas savings. That thing, you have to be doing 100 kilometers an hour, 60 mile an hour just to use it. It's very different. I got a little bit of an issue with this one here. I'm not getting any speedometer out of this sucker at all. I was just driving along and all of a sudden the speedometer just failed on me. Now, right now it's at 1,898 kilometers. So I'm wondering if that's a... oh, yeah, there's some kind of short in here. Did you guys see it blip up at all? This bike feels very compact. It's a 750. It's got, you know, it's got enough to keep up with traffic, I'm pretty sure. It doesn't feel really lacking. It's not a sport bike, and it's not 103 cubic inches. Let's get that out of the way. But it feels very comparable to like a Honda Shadow. Matter of fact, the layout and everything feels pretty similar. Normally when you, just for if you guys are looking between, say, a Sportster and a bike like this as a first bike or a first Harley, my personal opinion is sport bikes are a little more agile and a little less weight for starting riders. But that being said, you want a cruiser, that's fine. Go to something like this or a Honda Shadow 750 and you know, that's the style you want. They're very neutral handling, very adept at just about everything, and you know, it's a good bike if you want a cruiser to start on. Like, your feet are very low to the ground. That gives people a lot of confidence. A lot of people, you know, even my wife, when she hops on a cruiser, she likes the fact that both feet are flat on the ground. Where that's not as convenient is because of the extra weight these things carry over some of the smaller learner bikes, is backing them up if you park downhill a little bit or something like that. Look at that, we're not losing a whole lot to those guys. They're not flooring it or anything, but it's still faster than a car, right? These mirrors, this bike is definitely a budget Harley compared to the other Harleys. Now, some of you will have the illusion that Harleys are really high priced, and I find that they're not really. Yeah, you got their CVOs and your special editions and stuff, they get up there in price, but generally a Harley is right around the same price range as a regular bike. Where I see a lot of people going over budget is it seems like Harley's really good at selling aftermarket pipes, air boxes, you name it. They've got more accessories than you could ever imagine, and then a clothing line to boot. So yeah, that's those. But I was getting back. Let me get back to this. If you wanted to buy this or a Sportster, all right, this thing is way more neutral than a Sportster. The Sportster has a way heavier feel. It shakes and rattles like a Harley Davidson does. And let's face it, that's one of the cool things about a Harley Davidson. The exhaust sound and the way the engine rumbles. Guys, we all know that there's lots of other bikes that'll beat these bikes in a drag race and everything else. But let's put it this way. If you want probably the coolest looking in the class, almost all the time, the best sounding, and probably the highest resale, I'm gonna say that too. you want a Harley Davidson. It's they've done their marketing. They know what their fans like, and they and they deliver. Now, does this bike hit that mark? Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. This bike, it's got a Harley name on it. It's got a beautiful paint finish, a lot of neat options, but also a lot of things that you don't miss out on when you get the other Harleys. Every Harley, except for this 750 and the 500 that they just came out with last year, have self-canceling turn signals. For me, not a big deal because I ride Japanese bikes and just about every other bike, and they have this type of signal light right here. Alright, so I'm used to that. I like it. It throws me off a little bit to have one here and one here. So, you know, that throws me off a little bit. But other than that, it's got that. The mirrors, you'll notice the mirrors aren't quite the same quality, and the handlebars are a little different with the wires running out in and around them, where most of the other Harley Davidsons will run all the wires through the handlebars. That's the kind of touches you get when you get a Harley Davidson usually. There's some real nice finishing touches on them. So if you're looking at this bike thinking you get a Harley Davidson, my guess is that there's going to be Harley guys that buy this bike for, you know, a son learning how to ride, or their wife, or, you know, somebody in the family. They're Harley Davidson fans, and they buy this bike because it's easier to learn on. And you know what? They are correct. Now, where this bike is good for Harley is overseas markets, because the price point is where it needs to be. And I'll put that price up for you. So the price is where it needs to be, and let's see what she does here, guys. All right. It gets up there fine. It does just fine. Anyway, this bike is going to be for different markets. There's a good chance that somebody looking for a Honda Shadow, you know, Phantom, the 750s that are so popular, and most manufacturers make them. Kawasaki has a Vulcan. This could theoretically take away the market for those beginner, and when I say beginner, quote unquote, you know how I feel. I think a sport bike's a bit better for beginner, but you want a cruiser, right? So, that being said, these bikes could take this XV750 and then their 500 below it. They could take business away from Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, all those guys, Yamaha, with their starter line bikes. Harley was a little bit more priced than those bikes were when they had just a Sportster. And when you rode the Sportster, let me tell you, you better have a tailbone and a kidney belt, because those bikes are very hard on the back end. They're hardcore bikes. They're not beginner bikes. You get an 883 low or a 1200 low, it does not feel like a beginner bike. There's barely any suspension in it, and it's a raw machine. And you can hop it up and make that thing move pretty quick. So, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that just love the 883s and the 1200s for that case. This bike isn't that bike. This is very neutral, very easy to drive. You know, it's like a Honda Shadow. I'm going to say it again. No big sticky out air filters. There's a little bit of an air filter here, but not as bad as some of the other bikes where you have to keep your legs splayed out. Foot pegs are beneath you somewhat so that you have that extra support. And it's generally a nice bike. It corners better than a Harley. There's room up top for accelerating. Usually on a Harley you're shifting early because that's the way they run. Okay guys, let's get into the likes and dislikes of this bike. I think if you're looking for a Honda Shadow replacement, or a Vulcan 900 type thing, this bike is a pretty good bike. It's very flickable, back and forth. That like it feels super light. Like you won't find a lighter feeling cruiser out there. Maybe the 500 below this one, but I don't think I'm going to be driving that one. But this XV 750 is super light feeling. It's not as wide. I like that. It's not as wide as a typical Harley is. Things aren't making your legs stay out. Foot pegs are relatively underneath you. They're a little bit forward, but not as forward as most Harleys. And what can I say? That's the good. The bad is that it's not a Harley. Everything on it's cheaper to meet a price point, and that includes giving you older signal lights. You can tell these things are kind of plasticky, like the hand grips and everything. The mirrors are a little cheaper, and everything just feels not quite like a Harley. Like I said before, for a starting rider, that's good. You're not going to be dragging your pipes and pegs on corners near as much. You know, which is a definite plus. Your tailbone's going to survive, because let's face it, the Sportsters are one of the hardest on your body bikes that I have ever ridden. So anyway, guys, that's another Six's overdrive review on something different he doesn't usually do, and that's a cruiser, a Harley Davidson. Got a couple more of these to do, and we'll get them up on the channel quick for you. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, tell me what you think, share, and most of all, guys, love to get some more subscribers. Thanks for watching. This is 6IOD. Bye-bye.